There we go.
Too small.
What do you mean?
Hello everyone, Syafire here. I just wanted to share this really exciting news that I was recently on a podcast, the Asylum podcast. They are talking about up and coming VTubers and just the VTubing community and content creation as a whole. And this was one of the first podcasts I was ever asked to guest speak on, and I thought the conversation was really insightful. And I think that a lot of you could really take something away from it, especially if you're starting up your VTubing journey or starting new as a content creator. So, without further ado, let's get into it, and I hope you enjoy it.
No, that's perfect, Baka size. Alright, so I guess to start off, hello everyone, this is Sia.
Hello.
Would you like to give a
Sapphire, or
Yeah.
Sia
Oh.
or Saya or Fire?
I'm Syafire, yes. I met her as Sia and she's been Sia ever since.
You know what? Some people like to add an extra spunk and they call me Sea of Fire. I was like,
Oh,
wow, that's
fancy.
Sea of Fire. Yeah, right?
Would you like to give a quick introduction?
Yeah, okay, I'll just go for it. All right.
Yeah, just go for it.
Hello, I'm Syafire, as you may have heard. I am a Twitch streamer. And a VTuber. I mostly stream my art and creative stuff. I play games every once in a while, but our whole community is about being friendly and positive and growing as artists and growing in anything you want to pursue. So I also recently started up my YouTube channel, and I've been grinding on that a lot lately with a ton of VTuber tutorials and how to basically start streaming as a VTuber if you want to, because that's something that's really in need right now in the community, because VTubers are sort of blowing up and there's not a lot of information out there. So I was like, you know what? I made a how to be a VTuber YouTube video, and it started doing really well, so I wanted to give back to the community by making even more. And I'm also featured in this magazine that had recently come out that's called The Streamer, and
Ooh.
it has a bunch of VTubers in there, so also if you guys are looking
Heck
for other
yeah.
people, I can point you towards that magazine.
Yeah, that'd
yeah.
be awesome.
Yeah, and you also dabble a little bit in game design as well.
Yep, I'm also a game dev. I'm currently going to school for game dev with a focus in concept art. I would like to own my own studio one day, that's the goal, but I'm fine with being in like a AAA or indie, either or. I'd like experience in both so that I can have the best knowledge equipped to be able to make my own studio to make some really awesome games someday. So that's also a goal, yeah.
My mic's not picking up stuff. I said woo like 3 times. None of them picked up.
Woo! Woo!
While you're making waves in the VTuber community, says we.
Thank you, we.
Triple AAA Crush is kind of
appreciate
scary
you.
though, says Melee.
All
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
friends are becoming VTubers.
Where's your VTuber?
No, yeah.
life?
I agree
I
with
know.
Melee. Triple A Crunch is kind of scary, and it's not something I want to promote. Like, in fact, if I ever get any sort of like high recognition, like I have a ton of goals, of course, but one of them would be to win like Art of the Year for some sort of game on the Game Awards on Twitch. And one of my things, like in that speech that I said, like from day one, that I'm gonna throw in there is gonna be like about taking care of yourself and not killing yourself to chase this dream or passion, because your health comes first. And companies that do crunch, I understand it, but making a regular habit of it is not healthy.
The employees matter, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a lot of big companies forget that quite often. Sadly.
Absolutely.
So Sia, you are in an interesting spot because a lot of who we try to interview are VR enthusiasts and VTubers, and you happen to be one of those
Who's
that
both.
do both. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, that's really cool. And anybody who's looking to start VTubing, go for it. I know that personally what I've heard from a lot of people, and it didn't really cross my mind until today, but a lot of people have found comfort in VTubing because there's a lot of people out there and a lot of content creators who want to start making stuff but aren't comfortable showing their face on screen, or just want to break from being on camera. I'm one of those people where I get really exhausted being on camera all the time. I enjoy being hyper and stuff, but it can get exhausting, and VTubing is really cool because it's opened a door for people who may not feel like they want to express themselves on camera. They have that option. For other people as well, like the LGBT community, if they want to express themselves via their avatar, if they can't quite do it in real life yet, that's really cool. It just leaves a lot of doors for people to be able to be themselves while also being like a virtual avatar, and
Bye, Silver.
it's really cool, and it's open to sort of friendliness and kindness that I am just absolutely blown away by daily by meeting like other VTubers and seeing the kind of communities that are forming around this. And I just really hope it continues that way and stays positive.
Yeah, it's a lot of that masking effect. Okay, sorry to go back to
No, you're good.
VRChat, but that's a lot of the reason why people love socializing on VRChat. You're not presenting yourself, you're presenting yourself as a character or a model, and you get
Right.
that mask effect that you're a little more comfortable
You
being
feel like you don't
yourself
have to be
rather than-
judged, is the thing, you know?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, you get to choose. You get to choose everything. You get to create yourself how you want, and especially as a creator, because I also find, again, that a lot of people who end up VTubing are creators or artists of some sort, whether that's digital art, music, or content creation, any sorts of things. They're all artists, and being able to express yourself to the fullest, from being able to customize like every piece of hair that falls off your face to the texture of your eye, it literally just opens this new world of creativity. And again, since you brought up VRChat, going back to it, I even remember like the first time I created an avatar in VRChat, my own avatar. I kid you not, I went into this world and I went to the mirror to see my avatar that I made, and I sat in front of the mirror, I was by myself, and I actually started crying with happiness, because I was like, for creators to be able to experience this in their life, to be able to be your creation like physically, is insane. Like, just thinking about that, these people that make their VTuber avatars or 3D models that they can now exist as, that is mind-blowing, because now you are just experiencing a new level of creativity. And same thing for world building and making worlds that you can exist in when you can't do that so easily in real life.
That's true. That's true. I just recently made a art gallery showing off some of the stuff, and it was really cool to see that in VRChat.
Super cool.
Yeah, it's
Actually,
actually
funny enough, we're all artists here. Go ahead, Tom.
yeah, as I was saying, it was really cool just seeing like what you can build in there, and just interacting with a lot of people. I've noticed a lot
Yeah.
of people feel a little bit more comfortable. There have been some bad eggs I've ran into, but you know, all in all, most of the people have been pretty wholesome, and they just want people to talk to and interact with.
Right.
Everybody has
And
a
you're
story
always
to
gonna
share.
have, absolutely, and you're always gonna have those bad eggs or those people. That's every community. That's
Yeah, ever.
You're never gonna not
You're
have
not.
that.
Yeah, they'll always
Yeah.
find a way to sneak in, but the thing is, the good communities find a way to get them out. Like they don't last very long most of the time.
Yeah, that's true. They will naturally tumble.
They're very self-destructive.
That's right.
So-
And Melee brought up.
Mhm.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, so how long have you been VTubing, like altogether?
Yeah, so I started, I would say, in August. That's when I started, and that's when I released my video. I released my video shortly after I made my avatar, because again, there wasn't really a lot of information out at the time on how to do it, but I'm an innovator, and I'm like determined to figure out how to do things even if there isn't a lot of information about how to do it. So I was like, I'm gonna figure this out. I'm gonna go on YouTube, and I found this tutorial that really helped me. So then of course I made mine. Let me see if I can pull her up so I can give you guys her name, because she's awesome. She's like a leading person in just the VR community in general, not just VTubing, but VR. She talks about like VR updates on her channel and everything. Tutorial.
Also, have you properly debuted, or did you kind of just jump right in? If you haven't debuted, do you plan on like updating your model and doing a re-debut, or?
Yeah, I didn't officially debut. I just sort of threw myself in there because I didn't realize like how
Big
serious the
debut?
community was at first. Yeah, like I didn't
A
I didn't
debut
realize
can
it was even
be super huge, and that's one thing I hate about that. Because I'm just like you, I got my model, I was excited to use it, and so I just started streaming with it. Oh, Galahad live, thank you for the follow.
Yo, hey Gala, welcome. Yeah, I didn't. I just threw myself in, and I know, yeah, there's a lot of other people that are growing quickly because of the whole debut thing too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I might, because I'm in this weird spot right now where a lot of people have been saying like they really like my avatar, and I've been using this avatar now for a multitude of YouTube videos, and people are starting to get to know her. But I initially wanted to make my digital painting like mascot of Syafire, but my skills and capabilities weren't there to be able to make that character yet. So I had to sort of like figure out something that wasn't quite her, because I just didn't have the ability to make what I wanted. And then I ended up with the current like side that I have, and everybody loves her and she's great and I love her. And I'm in this weird spot right now where even if I make something new, I don't know if I'm gonna switch over or what I'm gonna do. And also there's the whole battle between 3D
And
VTubers
2D.
versus 2D.
Yeah, it's a battle I'm facing right now, so I know that all too well. And because like a lot of plans I want to do with my model, it would be a lot more expensive for me to go with the idea that I have to go 2D. But I love the look of 2D, and I love the expressions you can get with 2D. Like the models for 2D are so much more expressive, and I think that's
But
where a lot of the
VRChat.
love. What do you mean?
In 2D?
Well, yeah, that's the other thing is I wouldn't be able to
Yeah.
export. Yeah, in 2D they track your face so much better with live 2D than they do with Luppet or any of the 3D modeling programs out right now.
That's true.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I wouldn't be able to upload it to VRChat. So if I wanted to do more content with VR, I would have to use my older model, if anything, if a
Yeah.
model at all. And yeah, hey Lionson Escanor, how's it been?
Hello, Lion.
Hello.
Yeah, I agree with you, and it's a weird thing right now too. And for those of us who don't necessarily know how to face rig and all that stuff, it's like, well, you can commission someone, or you can try to figure it out yourself. But again, because we're all artists here, we're probably all like, well, I want to figure it out myself. You know, I could commission someone, but we, of course, again, we want to be able to do it or by ourselves from scratch because we're creators. And I don't know. I've been considering switching to 2D. I just have to make the time to learn face rig, and that can be really difficult to find that time.
It really can. There's a lot to it, is the thing.
Yeah.
It just
I'll
takes
admit-
And I was
time,
thinking-
just like anything, you know.
Yeah.
I'll admit I tried and I got about 10 minutes into it before I said, you know, this is way too much.
Yeah. No, it is. It's a lot to learn, and what I was considering doing is, because VTubing is starting to get big and I only think it's going to continue growing. And I think that there is a point where it
I
might
think it's
be
just
considered
been a norm at this point. Like it is a norm. Like there is people that want to use a camera,
Yeah.
but it's kind of just integrated into streaming and content creation as a whole, and I love that.
Yeah. No, I would agree with that, but like even today earlier I was scrolling through like the art section on Twitch to see how many people are actually VTubers right now, and there's still not that many. There's still other people that are overriding VTubers. So I think it's grown a lot, but I really, really truly believe there's going to be a huge, like a bigger explosion in it. It still has yet to come. It's just not here yet, but it's going to, which again is why I've been so adamant on making VTuber tutorials to be able to help people, you know, get that going. Because I want to see more developments, and the more content that somebody makes and the more it blows up, the more we help it blow up as well, the better, because the more likely we'll be able to equip other people with tools to make a better like 3D tracking program. Because I bet you any day now something better will come out because it's been blowing up. Somebody is
I
going to say,
wish.
I want to
Oh,
make...
yeah.
Yeah, no, it's going to happen.
Love
Somebody
it.
is going to take
so
it.
Bad. Like,
Yeah, I don't know, like a lot of the current 3D programs like you're mentioning, because I've been exploring them, and again, working on YouTube stuff, a lot of people have been bringing up in the comments like all these different programs, so I've been checking them out, and it, like you said, there's just 2D
most of them
just
take
has a
up way
lot
too
more.
much processing power, so it kind of limits you what you
Yeah.
can stream, because your stream's
Yeah.
already going to be taking up a lot of your processing. So if you want to play a very, you know, intensive game, you have to have a nice rig. So it kind of gates people of what they can do when they're starting out if they don't have a nice rig.
Yeah, that's another good point too.
And that's
It'll be-
but the whole gatekeeping though that's going on in this community in general, not just from like limits of what you can do, but that's one thing I think it's kind of hard coming into the community. There are a lot of gatekeepers of, oh, you
That aren't saying what to do or how you can do something.
they're saying like, oh, that person's not a VTuber because of such and such reasons, and it's just like a lot of people love this community because of how open it can be. Just like with VRChat, a lot of people love VRChat because how open and accepting people can be. But
Yeah,
as it's growing, there's more people that are like, oh, you're not a true VTuber unless you do this, or you've done that, or you've collabed with this person. Everybody should have the
Yeah.
option to stream how they want.
yeah, I agree.
Speaking of collaborations, have you had any new collaborations after becoming a VTuber?
Yeah, has anybody reached out to you?
I think you guys are the first as far as like VTuber collaborations. But everything that I've done regarding the VTuber community has been all helping people who haven't started their models start making their models. So I've been the hand that's grabbing people up to where I'm at, rather than grabbing up to people who are like more, I guess you could say, more known in the community. So I've been like that weird middle ground, I guess, that's like all the people that want to learn, let's go, but I'm also not reaching forward, which I personally think could help me. But I'm not gonna lie, I have a little bit of like a stigma of, I don't know if I want to do that solely because of what you were just saying, how there's a lot of people who are just saying like you aren't a true VTuber because of blank. And
Yeah, one of those big things is if you've already had an established platform, like a lot of people, it's like, oh, you just hopped on the bandwagon, and that's not the case, you know?
Yeah. And who are they to decide though, right? Who are they to tell you like
Exactly.
you're not...
That's yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Everybody, like, I don't like when I see, because like I don't see. So when I hop on Twitter, because I've been way more active on Twitter lately,
Yeah.
I see a lot of talk of drama, but I never actually see the drama. The only drama I ever do see is, and this is very far in between, but it's still, I hate when it happens, is people, you know, saying, oh, this person's not a VTuber because of such and such. You know, it's like, I don't like when people gatekeep. It tears us apart instead of building us up, and that's the whole, like I said, the whole reason like people like this community is because it's very open. We like building each other up. We like, you know, just interacting with new people and sharing our stories.
Right.
That's why I started this podcast.
No, yeah, absolutely. So then my question back at you would be, how do you think that we could change that then? Like, how can we start making more people open to like anybody can be a VTuber, and there's no, you don't have to do this or that to remain that open.
It goes to what you were saying earlier with it just growing. It naturally is, because it is right now, as much as I think it's a big community, it, in the grand scheme of things, it is kind of on the smaller side of things, you know, compared to like all other streamers. I think it just seems big to me. Yeah, VTuber baby. But it just seems big to me because, you know, I've been in it. I'm in it currently. You know, I interact with so many VTubers, and I see so many new VTubers popping up every day. It seemed to be big to me because of that. But if I look at it at a grander scheme of things of just streaming, if I pull up Twitch and go to most of the categories, there might be one VTuber every 500 streams. You know.
Yeah.
So.
And that being said too, I've thought about too, so like it's not too saturated yet. Could it be saturated? Sure. But I was thinking, you know, what will happen if there are a lot of VTubers? Will that change anything for current VTubers? Will it make it harder for people who are starting out late in the game to gain that growth or that traction? And I was thinking about that, and I don't have the answers obviously, but I'm able to gather some sort of like conclusion based off of what I've seen. And I think that regardless of how many people are in the community, the really cool thing is it's just like watching different animes that you like. There's a lot of different characters and a lot of different shows that you'll latch onto. I think it's the same concept with VTubers. So no matter how many VTubers end up appearing in the community, you're still gonna have some sort of unique thing about you because you're a unique type of character. So I think that even if it gets saturated, there's still gonna be I think the people who got a head start, of course, are going to have more growth because they might have been able to get their name out there before there are so many people. But I still think there are good chances that they'll be able to grab people and grow as a VTuber. Yeah. I hope that makes sense.
It does. And yeah, but there's nothing really that we can do, because I do see people like combating, you know, gatekeeping, and, you know, like, hey, anybody can be a VTuber. But there are like, that is a problem right now, and like, but yeah, I think just with time it kind of will just become more of a norm, and people will stop trying to keep it a closed community, because I think they want to keep it safe and precious, and they want to just bottle it up and keep their wholesomeness, but they realize they don't really realize how toxic they're being by doing that,
right?
And they're missing the whole point of the community by doing that. But I think with time, people will become more understanding, more accepting on both sides. People will become more accepting and join the community, and people within the community will become more accepting and let more people in without having any harassment.
Right. And I think it's our jobs too, like all of us, you and Baka especially, because both of you guys started. I don't know, Cyrus, are you in the VTubing community as well? It's
all my
okay.
friends are becoming
I mean, I've been
okay.
VTubing for almost a year now.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's been a
no
minute.
shame. But I think that then, and I think this is another thing. This goes beyond even VTubers. What I'm about to say is that there's a lot of people that gain traction out there and become an influencer of sorts, whether you're a VTuber or a streamer, and they don't realize the power of their word. They don't realize the effect they have on people from everything they say and like to what they do. And it's our jobs as growing VTubers to continue to push the envelope that we want, because we have a voice in the community, and if we believe that other people can be VTubers and there's no set standard for you have to do this or you either like being, it's our job to not be those gatekeepers and to start rising up as everybody can be a VTuber and to be open and try to help change the mindset of even those who do believe that only certain people can be VTubers and change that, because we have that power, we have that influence, so we need to take it and we need to be strong and powerful with it.
I think that's really empowering, just in general, to say. Yeah. Yeah, and it really, the only thing to be a VTuber is just be a streamer and have a model/OC. The PNG YouTube or PNG tubers, just like what we're doing right now, that is, you're still a virtual streamer, virtual, content creator.
Yeah.
You're still a VTuber.
To my understanding, it's a lot more broad. Like, you don't even have to be a streamer as long as you create content.
Yeah. That's
agreed.
Videos.
Yeah, just most of the time when we're talking about VTubing, we're talking about like the streaming platform, because that's our platform that we're on. But I know people who stream on YouTube that are VTubers, and like it's as long as you're streaming, really.
Yeah, and the virtual part could also be pretty laid back. I know Kirishima, who is Breezy.
Oh, yeah, Breezy, right? Yeah.
Yeah, before she just had a PNG and it didn't even move, and I would still consider
No,
that.
it always moved.
It always moved?
It like always hopped and lit up. I helped her set that up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
even then,
she wanted to wait till her model was started, but she also wanted to still start building up her platform. So she started off as a PNG. Her model's actually coming out here soon too. It's what's really cool, and it looks awesome. Like probably one of my favorite models I've seen so far. I love her character design, and I can't wait. I'm super excited. She actually made both a 2D and a 3D, so that I can't wait to see how far it goes. She's gonna go far if she can properly debut herself. That is, like, the debuts are huge in this community. You can gain anywhere. I've seen, but also a lot of people stress themselves out too much with debuts. It's not the end of the world if you don't have a huge debut. You will gain traction if you just put in the time and effort. That is a fact. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. If you just put in the time and effort and have a welcoming community, you will get traction. It might not be as much as you'd want, but it will happen. But debuts are a big thing, and if you debut right, you can get anywhere from 30 plus followers to 1,000 plus followers within that one stream. Yeah. Wow, Breezy getting her debut soon. Well, she has her model coming out soon. I don't know when she's actually planning on debuting though, but yeah. What do you hope to see with the VTubing community coming forward, Fire? Besides just growth.
Yeah, I hope to see the friendliness that we were talking about earlier, the positivity and the openness. I really hope that stays in the VTubing community. I hope that it doesn't get, and this is a personal view, like you guys can disagree with me, but I really am afraid, like, I don't want it to turn into like any sort of lewd stuff, like how you have excuse this term, but like the whole booby streamers thing. I hope it doesn't happen with VTubers, where characters get like sexualized, and I know like it's happened already, I'm sure. Not that I've seen like 100%, but I just really hope it remains like a wholesome and just really friendly community where anybody feels like they can have a spot within that person's content and like just existing. And that's not even just for VTubing, that's just in general for content, but I feel like there's a lot less of that in general content. So while we have a chance to create a sort of new area of content, which is VTubing, can we keep this really friendliness and open discussion I don't know. I hope so. That's my hopes for it.
It's funny that you say that because the whole booby streamers has always been like a controversial topic on Twitch like for such a long time. But the looter streamers for like VTubing, obviously they are bigger and they get more attention just from like the things that they do, but they are so much more wholesome and caring about their community than like any booby streamer I've ever heard of or seen. Like,
yeah,
it's like, even it just shows like how the VTubing community is. Even the lewdest, like most raunchy ones are still super chill and care about their community.
Yeah, and that's good to hear. And I'm not sure 100% because, like I said, I haven't like dove too much into it. But it's good to hear from your end that it's despite it, the wholesomeness is being upheld.
Baka, do you have any questions?
Nope, they were all taken. That's why I haven't said anything for about 30 minutes.
We've just been going back and forth on one thing after another.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's the really cool thing is like just I love seeing people come in just because they notice my model or they see that like VTubing and like they want to share like, oh, like I'm excited to also be doing this. I love seeing new models and stuff like that. That's one thing is like seeing the character design because just like Sia, I love game design and I actually want am currently in school for 3D animation for game design, and I love seeing everybody's models. Like it's so cool.
Yes.
It's very exciting.
Yeah, the other day I was trying out Clip Studio and I actually drew Key's model just because it was just so fascinating to me. I like how hers is designed.
Yeah.
Oh, have you done anything VR recently?
What do you mean as far as VR?
Streaming, just hopping on, discovering the new stuff.
I've been in VRChat a bit. I got full body recently, actually, so that's been really hype. Yeah, but as far as like streaming, I don't usually stream VRChat because that's like my social life right now since the virus, and I don't really like to open my social life up like that too much to like a large community. I try to keep some areas of my life, like more like closed off from my community, so it's not like my community-based stuff 24/7, just to get a little variety.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I ever will stream VR. It's possible in the future for sure, but I don't know if it would be VRChat. I'm not sure. But yeah, I've been delving in and stuff and playing it.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Just going and sharing like what you do socially on there, I don't feel is the best thing to do. One, because sometimes it's deep and you can't stream it. Sometimes it's boring and it's fun for you, but it's not a fun stream. But
Yeah.
you find stuff like, did you see the Devouring?
No, I have not. That map? I haven't been on it, but I've seen the map, like, on the world's list.
Yeah, what it is it's just one whole game. So it's still VR, but it's not about socializing, it's about playing a game. And we actually streamed that about a month ago, I want to say.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It was, about a
it was
month
a
and
ton of fun. About a month and a half, wow.
Mhm.
I would have thought it was
Wow.
I'm
closer
pretty
to
sure it
Halloween.
was before Halloween.
So I guess what I'm getting at is if you do stream VRChat, just get a small group together and say, hey, we're going to go try this world or this map. And
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a very good point.
yeah, because
Having it more
socializing,
structured instead of like loose.
yeah, because the other thing is the more loose it is, you go to public worlds and
It sucks
you
because
end off of Twitch because you run into someone who wants to troll.
I feel like the VR
Yeah.
chat community has been dying off for the streaming as a platform because
Really?
yeah, like I don't really see it pointing in the numbers for people that I know that have streamed in the past as they used to.
Mhm.
They have their set community that is there and they'll always be there, but it's not having as much growth as it initially did, like even like just a year and a half ago. Like,
Why do you think that is?
I think it might be just the novelty of seeing all the worlds there has kind of, we were oversaturated with it for a bit because like everybody was streaming VR chat, everybody was just doing silly stuff, interacting with people, and it's hard to find people doing that now. And you do go into worlds and you'll see like there's maybe one guy that's streaming there or a girl, and like everybody's hovering around them, and that's about it. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's also that it's not the most steady player base right now. There's about 15,000 people online right now, whereas you get more common games like Counter-Strike and Among Us. Among Us even has like over 100,000.
Yeah,
Does it really only have 15,000 people?
Yeah,
it's pretty
Dang.
small.
Yeah. It was
Although,
it was pointing a lot better numbers than that before though. Like that's the thing. It's like I think the novelty of it is just finally dying down.
yeah. Well, I had done like a few months ago. I had done a research. Actually, I've done a few research papers on VRChat, or just a few different types of papers. And one of them that I did, I was talking about. I found out a stat. It was actually crazy. Like ever since the virus had started, VRChat went from like 3,000 global players to like plus 9,000 like within the month. It was insanity. Like the growth they had as soon as the virus started, because everybody needed to like a social outlet. It was honestly mind blowing and expected, you know.
Yeah.
I think that's also when a lot of people finally took the jump to VR because it's like,
Mhm.
well, that's the most obvious thing to do. Even the
Yeah, right.
headset companies couldn't keep up with it. You'd like have to wait months to get an index or any
So do you
VR
think
headset.
because maybe the influx of people because of the coronavirus caused a slight bit of oversaturation for them, and that's why the numbers might be dipping down now?
Could
Or-
be.
For streamers? Yeah, I think so.
Absolutely. I think the virus too is also causing a lot more people to fall into working on more content creation as well. Which again goes back to VTubing and stuff, because more people are at home, have more free time to like try whatever. So now more people are finding like, oh, like VTubing's a thing. When a lot of people might not have seen it because they weren't paying as much attention when the virus wasn't going on, you know. So I think
Oh yeah,
that's also another
it
interesting
spikes
thing.
so much
Yeah.
because of the coronavirus. Like there's so many
Yeah.
memes about it, and it's just like like I love it. I do feel you're right. It's just like it will be blasting off here even more soon. But
Mhm.
yeah.
I think it started blasting off. I want to say like a month after I started playing it about 2 years ago, just because VRChat switched into this idea of, well, it had already been an idea of the creators create worlds and the creators create avatars, but
Yeah.
there was a switch during a Halloween event that's kind of proved, hey, you can put games within VRChat, and a lot of stuff blew up from that. More worlds came to be, a lot of
Mhm.
avatars pulled from other games, and that sort of thing that really took off with.
Yeah.
Which that's actually one thing that's kind of interesting to me is as a game dev, how do you like feel about just the blatant asset rips with
Yeah.
like
Oh yeah.
there's
Oof.
has to be a like legal
Yeah.
gray area there uh, for
Yeah.
a lot of the characters. Like you can't just do that. You can't just take a character and
Yeah.
put them into somebody else's game. Like I don't
Yeah.
understand how games like Gary's Mod. I don't understand how games like VRChat get away with it, and I don't know if that's a gray area or what.
I think
Yeah.
because it's player based, like if someone says, hey, my character was put into this game and you have to do something about it. Well,
Yeah.
VRChat, they would have to say, well, the user put it in, we did not. Which
Yeah.
is
Good
why
point.
it works with Gmod and those sort of things, because it's not the company that's putting in those assets, it's the player base.
Yeah, but the fact that they
Yeah.
let them do it is like, and they're not stopping
Well,
it can be.
there's nothing they can really do, because if you put your own unique avatar in, it's the same process of putting a used avatar in.
Yeah,
You-
I know I get what you're saying, but I think there's still just a legal gray area with those kind of assets, and I also just like I don't think it's right in a lot of sense. I love seeing people make their own models. I love seeing both from just a VTuber aspect, it's just seeing their model completely move and have like the right proportions, like height and everything. But I don't know. I don't really enjoy like seeing people just rip straight, models from games. Like I don't think that's right.
Yeah. I agree. And I was gonna bring up too how the whole Among Us is blowing up as well now within VRChat. That Among
That's
Us
true,
world
that's
has
true.
like 10K plus people, and again, I think it's doing a disservice. You guys can disagree with me, but I think it's doing a disservice to VRChat in a way, because now all these other worlds aren't getting traction, and you can't meet like more people because all these people are focused in the Among Us world, which again I don't think is necessarily wrong, but it's kind of sad like to see it happen in my eyes.
Well,
Yeah.
I feel like it's gonna have the same effect as Devouring. When the Devouring first came out, everyone was on it. There was, I think, over 3,000 worlds open at a time for the Devouring. But over time, you've played enough times to be like, well, there's nothing much more I can do with this, and you'd eventually give it up. And I feel like it's going to be a fad more than it is going to be a new VR chat experience.
Yeah, you're right. That'll be interesting to see, and I'm hoping you're right, but
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, you gotta remember that the person who made this map they went above and beyond to make this work for one.
be up and beyond.
I think we has a
Sorry.
point since there is no profit being made.
Yeah, there's no
Yeah.
profit, so I guess it's fine. But what does that say for the original Among Us team? Are there's no profit to be made, so there's no royalties to be made to them. They just
Yeah.
ripped the game, so that's the gray area I want to discuss.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, yeah, it's a lot, and I wonder if there is any cases like about this. The hats are like
Right.
$2.
Well, that sucks too, because imagine if you're the game developers of Among Us, and all the players are leaving your platform, your actual Among Us game, to go play it in VRChat. Like that would probably hit a nerve that would trigger me, like as a game developer. But
Yeah, to play your game in a different game would
Yeah.
like just has to be a punch in the gut. And like
I
even
think
though like I
they-
don't think the servers are struggling any much for Among Us, I think people are still like just playing the hell out of that game. But still, just like even a chunk can make a difference like that. Because like you said, what 10,000 players like easily.
yeah,
and-
well, imagine if like all the people who are playing Among Us like crazy right now, like one of the top people on Twitch, Pokimane, right? Imagine she like gets VR and she goes and she's playing VRChat Among Us because that's what everybody is doing, and she needs to follow a trend or whatever because she's a large streamer. Now, like all of Among Us's traction again gets pulled over, and now VRChat like reaps the benefits, right? So again, I'm not saying that it's right or wrong, but it's an interesting thing to consider, and
I just
it
looked
makes
up
you wonder.
the viewers right now like for Among Us. There's
Yeah.
277,000 people.
Yeah, it's
watching.
crazy. It's been a top
Wow.
category for a while, and that's because all of your biggest Twitch streamers
Yeah,
have
it's just a
picked it up
huge
now.
collab game. That's the best thing.
Yeah.
Is I love seeing the people that have gotten the chance to interact with each other. It's
Yeah.
been so cool.
And that's why people do it. I mean, that's why it will become a trend like that. And I honestly think, not entirely, but that's partially why Battle Royales became popular too, is because of the collab like aspect. And I think any type of collab game like that comes out like in the future has the chance to gain that traction.
It's also simple too. It's fascinating because it's a 2-year-old game that just out of nowhere blew up.
Yeah, but it isn't out of nowhere, because like you think it's out of nowhere, but if you actually look into the stats and you see the people that start paying attention to the game, and I don't know the exact point in which it starts, but if one big person picks it up, the rest, I'm telling you, it's a thing. As a growing like streamer or YouTuber, like they have to pick it up because they have to follow trends, like as a big streamer.
Actually, now that I think about it, it makes sense because the one thing that came out from the same company of Among Us, right before that was the Henry Stickmin collection, and that was released like I want to say 2 months before Among Us blew up. And so I'm sure people played through the games and said, all right, what else did the developer make? And all of a sudden, here comes Among Us.
Yeah, it's very possible. If it stumbles into the right people's hands, games that might not have been well known could very well gain traction. And then that brings us to the very unfortunate topic of luck. Is luck a thing?
I thought they made quite a few different games. Hold up, let me see.
I know they made Henry Stickmin, but that's as far as I know.
Oh no, just a bunch of
Hello,
games came
Selma.
out during 2018. Like it was like a really good game year for games, if I remember correctly. Yeah.
Which is funny because if I remember right, Among Us when it first released had a peak player base of 19 players.
Oh, that's sad. But
You know, the more I think about it, the more stuff starts to make sense. For example, what would the original Among Us crew do once they saw someone else import it into VRChat?
Yeah.
I think they would do exactly what they're doing now. They're adding updates and making it more unique.
Yeah, good point. That's how they would sort of counteract that move.
Because they're not losing profit technically.
Yeah.
they were ready to scrap the game altogether if it wasn't for how big it So I don't think they would have updated it if something like if this whole like VR thing happened and they weren't blowing up as much as they were with this game. I think they would have just scrapped it and moved on to the next game because they already chalked that game up as a failure.
Right.
Yeah, that's why I think it was interesting that it's that old.
What do you mean? Fallout 76 came out in 2018, the best game ever. Also, hello, Salo, and Co. Now we're having the podcast. Yeah. What? Do you have anything planned in the future, like coming up here soon, like your debut, any collabs, any big events like a subathon, anything like that?
Yeah. It's hard to say because right now I'm really focusing on pumping out like more tutorials and more helping everybody get started via YouTube to help grow the community like I was talking about earlier. So that's a huge plan. I've been going crazy. My plan is getting out 3 videos a week. That's what I've been looking at the moment alongside my other stuff. But debut, if I did a debut, I would do one, but I would do it if I made a 2D version that would be more based off of my actual channel mascot. And that I'm in a weird spot with it. I've been trying to decide, should I just commission someone? Should I just buckle down, learn it myself, and then put those tutorials, like my version of those 2D tutorials on YouTube? How should I go about this? It's a very good question, and I've been finding myself wondering the same thing as you are right now. And my next big move was working on the tutorials in the community and then seeing where those go, and if those continue to keep growing, then I feel like it's almost an obligation for me to make a debut and start doing some 2D stuff and put that on to the platform on YouTube. Because again, if this is something that's in need and I'm providing it already and helping tons of people, of course I should keep doing it. And of course that's something I'm looking into, because as a content creator, this goes into my own beliefs as a content creator and just who I want to be as a person, is I enjoy helping people. I enjoy helping people figure out something that they can't figure out or solve something that they may not be able to do themselves. And that brings me happiness, that brings me joy. So that's what I continue to do. And I'm always searching to do that. So if this continues to go well as far as tutorials, I will debut and I will learn how to do a 2D model and probably switch to 2D and maybe even do a whole bounce back and forth to help people learn how to do 2D or 3D as an option.
Yeah.
I think your hair looks like a stream with string cheese in it.
My hair?
It's like a waterfall, but with cheese.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes. That was what I had in mind when I made her hair. I was like, I'm gonna make my hair look like a waterfall.
No, really? Oh my God.
No.
It does look like a waterfall.
It's like a beautiful waterfall. The little string cheeses.
Even though your name's Fire, you kind of have like an aqua vibe. If you're.
Well, that's the thing. The hottest fire changes color.
Yes, thank you for that logic. Coming in clutch.
Was that the actual logic though?
No, Sapphire, because sapphires are blue, right?
Yeah.
And, like, that's why. I don't know, but I've always been a back and forth between like warm colors and blue. And if I want to turn it into a beautiful philosophical answer, you need both sides to balance out. You need hot and cold. You need warm and bright, so I can fulfill all the needs that people
And that's
need.
why I'm green.
Lionson says yes. Hot flames change to blue.
Out of curiosity, why did you change to this model idea because you had like purple hair before, you had like a choker necklace, and now you're having
Yeah.
a turtleneck and short blue hair.
Yeah, no, yeah. So what I was saying earlier was, since I started in August, and I wasn't like really aware of the whole VTuber community as such yet until as much as I am now, and this was my limitations as a creator, right? I didn't know much about the programs, and I just wasn't able to create exactly what I wanted yet. So this is what I ended up with, and my attempt, because I just wanted to roll out as like soon as I can to see if I wanted to start with this avatar and see if people are interested in the VTuber like on my channel, should I continue it? I wanted to test it. She was initially just a test avatar, but she stuck around. People have enjoyed her. Again, do I want to switch? I do. But again, it's a matter of making time and finding that space along all the other hustle stuff that I'm doing right now. And that's again a question that I've been asking myself, you know, is it something I want to do? Or do I just want to stay with this avatar? Well, the answer is yes. If I want to stay in the VTuber, again, and this is the whole freaking gatekeeping thing, but if I want to continue to pursue in the VTuber community, I probably should be making updates to my model or adding clothes, because other people are, and if other people are and you're not,
don't stress yourself out about that. Like it just.
And you were saying this
just be
earlier
you.
too. Don't stress yourself out, right? But it's hard because
it is. I've been there right with you. It's very stressful, and there's been nights where I'm like, damn, am I doing enough to stay relevant in the VTubing community? Like, how can I continue to grow? Like, I want to be able to grow so I can help my friends grow. There's.
Okay, don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's just be
Don't worry
yourself,
about it.
and
yeah.
you know, just keep grinding at it. You know, it's just like if you like your the way your model looks right now, it doesn't matter if it doesn't look as good as it could be or what you want it to be. Like, if you like it and you're okay with it, just be happy with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I could agree with that. But then there's like the side of me that is like, well, again, it's the whole you're a content creator, and if you're trying to push yourself, it's gonna keep coming up, right? And I'm not saying that I'm not trying to be that gatekeeper. I'm not saying you have to update yourself to be relevant, but that's what I feel I personally have to do to push myself. And again, does that put the pressure on the rest of the community that they should be too? It might. I don't know.
Chat's saying you just gotta do you and stuff will come your way.
This is what I want to do.
Yeah.
They do what they want to do.
Baka doesn't really follow any, she doesn't go after games that are pulling traction at the time. She doesn't, she just does what she wants. Like, she sings on Twitch strings, which is gonna be
totally
gone
get
soon.
rid of in like a
It's
few
gonna be
months, yeah.
gone.
She
It's
does
so sad.
art. She literally
more
just chats
months.
and plays any game that she wants to. She saw a game that she thought looked cool. She plays it, and she gets really good traction. Like she
Do what
gets
you want.
on average every stream at least
That's what
5
I've
new
been saying. You
followers.
do what you want.
From the side of VTubing, from what I've experienced so far, is nothing but caring and just supportive and very, very chill people. They're people
Very wholesome.
like you said, are creators that make you laugh, make you cry, make you just. But I mean, every person has their own set of comedy.
Nobody wants
and-
to give us a head pat for some reason. I'm surprised.
What? Chat. Give me her part.
I
right
lowered the
now.
cooldown to 1 minute. I thought there'd be more head pats coming out.
Do it, chat. Thank you, Dolores.
I don't think anybody noticed
It-
the
it
time.
Oh
wouldn't
my
let-
gosh, the
It wouldn't let
headbats.
me physically do it.
But from what I've just experienced,
I'm
it's
too hungry,
everything
Seth.
that I've already seen so far. I haven't seen many VTuber drama because, of course, I'm not big enough to be involved in that.
No, I don't think
personally.
it's anything to
don't-
do with size.
No, don't be in drama.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
the thing is
I personally don't want to be in drama.
I only hear talk about drama, but I never have actually really seen any drama. A lot of the drama is these people that are, they get weeded out. Like they weren't meant for the VTubing community. Like they were pedophiles or abusers or stuff like that. Like that is legitimate. Most of the time it's drama, or they're just really bad people.
Yeah, with the recent one for Project Mel.
And her
I read
model
the
maker?
Twitch
Oh
longer.
yeah.
Yeah, so it's a whole story. I'll send you the Twitch longer, but
Yeah, I didn't know there was an issue with her model maker.
it's actually kind of a
It's
little
weird that she
scummy.
would get banned though before, like, but over an issue with her model maker.
It's
Unless she didn't have the rights to use it, but like,
no, she did. She paid for the rights.
okay,
Like
that's
she literally paid for the model, for the rigging, for the assets, and then when the time came where the model like kind of, I don't know. It's a whole story. I don't want to talk about
yeah,
it.
yeah, you're fine. Yeah.
All right.
Also, Fire, do you like the head pads?
Yes, I love the head pats. I was so happy as soon as I saw it.
Because people have things where it's just like, oh, I got double the head pat. Heck yeah. Wait, what do I have?
The
double?
pet on the cat too. Yes.
Oh yeah, I'm glad you noticed that. I was waiting for someone to notice it.
His tiny little hand that brushes up against his little back. It's cute.
But yeah, I actually paid someone and they coded program to link with the points.
That's wonderful.
It's things like that. It's like I
real
constantly think
MVP.
about how can I improve my stream? What can I do to better it? And like, how can I reach a further audience?
Yeah.
Also
Can I
VTuber.
play devil's advocate?
Do it?
So now that you said that, right?
Mhm.
That's the same mindset though that a lot of people coming into the VTuber community have or are going to want to have if they want to grow, right? Like that's cuz that's a thing. Like how you just like yes, be yourself. Yes, continue to be yourself and do what you want to do, but at the same time, like if you want growth, it is your job as a content creator to find ways
To set yourself apart. Like
Yeah.
there's a sea of, and but that's always been Twitch. That's not just a VTuber thing. That's always been Twitch. You have
Right.
to, like, of course, you will always see growth if you just put in the time, the grind, and interact with people, because people will like you. There is people out there that will like you no matter who you are. Good, bad, funny, sad, anything doesn't matter. There's people that out there that can relate with you and will eventually find their way to you. But to see like substantial growth, like you gotta set yourself apart and see like what makes you different from that guy over that guy over that guy. Like, because there's so many streamers that are just like you in a lot of ways, and
Yeah.
why wouldn't they watch that person that's giving the same content over you? You know,
Yeah, absolutely.
that's just a content thing, not even like a streamer thing. Like, it's the same thing if you try to make YouTube videos. Why would I watch this Among Us video over this Among Us video? This one has better editing, better sound, better timing, everything. It comes right into play. Let's open up questions to chat. Unless Baka, do you have any more questions? You don't
I'm
have
gonna
to.
need like another probably 15 minutes.
You're fine. Just take your time, and like we'll just open up the floor to chat. They can ask Fire. You have chat pulled up, right, Fire?
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, if anybody has any questions they want to ask her, keep them appropriate. But yeah, just now is the time. And if you come up with anything, Baka, just feel free to step in.
And no degens. Please no.
You all are mega cuties. Aw, thank you. Also, Top, we had a question,
Are
a few
you?
messages up, just like all. Let's see, let me go. So I wonder, do most VTubers, as well as guys, viewing stream has a job and work? Like, my view is all fucked right now from being so far back and trying to like read small
Do
writing.
you want me to read it?
Sure.
Okay. So we when too. It says, so I wonder, do most VTubers as well as you guys view streaming as a job and have that work mentality, or view it as a hobby rather than a form of income? So I think we should go down the panel for this one. So let's start left to right. Top go first.
So I do view it as a job now. It's still a hobby to me, even though I still view it as a job, but I want to keep strict hours because that does bring in growth. I never really wanted to do that when I first started streaming, and this was like years ago when I was in the army and I just had spare time and I wanted to stream to record. But now that I'm streaming to stream, I treat it a little bit more like a job, just with timing and making sure I am at least streaming, because it also helps with, just like on the depressing side, like with my depression, it helps with that because it helps me, like, I need to do this, I need to be getting out of bed, like I can't just lay around all day. So I do view it as a job in that aspect, but I still just like, I have fun with it. I like, the second I stop having fun with this is the second I stop streaming. Just like it will lose its everything to me. Baka?
Mentally, yes, I view it as a job because people work hard at it. Income wise, I'm very surprised that I'm getting any, to be honest. And I just think it's just a fun and really cool thing to just help my social boundaries just expand a bit. I mean, I've always been a little bit sociable in real life, but not to this extent. Like to so many people at such a time. I don't know. It's weird for me. But yeah, I guess you could say it's a job.
Okay. Fire?
Yeah, this opens a whole. There's a lot of roads that this question can go down. But it's a really good question, and for me personally, and I don't know about most, because you also asked, so do most VTubers, and obviously you'd have to ask a lot, I'm sure, when you got two opinions right there, and then you'll hear mine as well. But do I view streaming as a job in that work mentality, or view it as a hobby rather than a form of income? For me currently right now, I would say yes, especially because of the virus and like going out. Not saying that you shouldn't go out to work and like, but personally, I'm not right now. I can't because my family only has one car. There's some limits there. So for me, right now it essentially is. It's supporting me continuing to go to school like I am. And that alongside other things, you know, freelance and other work I'm doing, but streaming and commissions and freelance are like a huge part of my income right now. So I do view it as a job, and I think that there's a lot of people and there's a lot of posts. If you look up anything regarding to growing as a streamer, there's a lot of down talk on don't look at it as a job. You know, don't like if you don't want to come in with the mentality like, oh, this is going to be a job.
This
of
is
course
profit.
you
Yeah. It's
you do right. No, it's not, especially if that's your first income. Like you haven't done much yet. If that's your first like thought process, yes, streaming's probably not for you. But I think for most of us here on this panel, I'm sure you guys could agree with me, you start as it being fun and as a hobby, and you really want to grow and connect with people, and of course that lingers within your heart because it's something you're passionate about. But there is a point as a streamer, and I think every streamer hits this, is, you know, is this going to remain a hobby, or is this going to be a job? And I've hit the point where I would like to make it something that's full-time for me because I enjoy it. I enjoy helping other people. And of course, again, there's people that are in it for the wrong reasons, but I don't think being in it necessarily for income is a terrible idea. Like everybody makes it seem to be like the devil. And I don't think that's fair, to be honest. I think there's too many tomatoes thrown at that idea, and I think that people should be more open to it.
You can't even use the income you get from streaming unless you have 2 years of like noteworthy amounts of income coming in from it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I found that out.
And I read
at random. I mean, they have a set like time to send out the payouts, but
yeah,
you don't really get to see that money at a certain date until it's approved, and even that date won't be approved until they see growth, and it's weird.
Right. And it's still not. And it's still uncertain how much, like, if it isn't a form of income, how much you're gonna make like each month, because it's like it's different. It's very different than a regular job, like absolutely a regular quote unquote job. But I read some crazy statistic recently too that was something like most people that average like 30 to like 60 viewers or something on Twitch make anywhere from like $400 to $800 a month usually. And still you don't know. It depends on your community and the generosity, and if you have, like, it depends on your community. And it's, I don't know, it's just a really hard topic in general, but I don't think it should be shunned, like I said. And I'm glad you asked that question, because I think it's a topic that more people should talk about and be open about.
I'm gonna scroll up to see if we missed one.
Oh, and speaking of which too, the other statistic that I had ran into recently, which again I don't know how true it is, but it's a very, very, very like 0.0 something % of people on Twitch are partner too, which is crazy. And keep in mind, you never get wiped as a partner. You never do. So even inactive partners, there's something like 45,000, I think, partners on Twitch. And there's a lot of those that are probably, a good chunk of those is inactive. And they never clear partner. So if you hit partner once, you have partner for
Just
life,
like
as
with
far as right
affiliate.
now.
Yeah.
Correct. And that's an interesting statistic to me. So honestly, there's only probably 7,000 active partners on Twitch, and most of Twitch's revenue / income is from their top 5% streamers, which is probably all people you guys know. But I just thought that was another interesting thing to look at as far as talking about Twitch as a job or versus a hobby.
I do I think if you want to see growth with your channel, you do have to treat it like a job to a degree. There is a grind in any workflow. You got to put in the hours, you got to put in the time, and that's what I meant when I see it as a job like that.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be grueling. It doesn't have to be boring. You make that hours.
You're your own
3
boss.
3 hours, 10 hours, 24 hours.
Then I remembered, I'm my own boss.
I'm my own
Yeah.
boss.
Brian David Gilbert.
Right. And that being said too, that goes back to and everybody sees all these different glorified, romanticized ways of living. A lot of people might think, oh, if I just get famous on whatever platform, like Instagram or Twitch or YouTube, whatever, that your life's gonna be better. But that's not true. Everybody needs to keep.
That's a small percent of people. It's just
right.
They don't.
No, it
understand
really
that.
is. And even so, you need to do what makes you happy, and that might not be growing on a platform, right?
Thank you for the
Even
headpats.
though that's, thank you for that, Pats. Even though that's the statistic and that's talked about a lot, and people think that could bring them happiness, you need to do what's going to make you happy in life. And again, it could be content creation, it might not be, but what are the reasons you're creating content for? And always living with that purpose is going to lead you to what you want to do with life. And again, that could be content creation, and it might not be. Basically, my point is, don't let the media of any sorts push you into having a certain belief, because you just want to strive as your own person and do what makes you the happiness. And that could be being a
belief is
VTuber.
why people are stuck in
whatnot.
California, because they move there wanting to be movie stars and models, and then they realize it's expensive as hell, and now they're stuck there.
Right. And that's another thing too, I'm still unsure of, that whole circle of, if you believe you can, okay, because genuinely my community is oh, you can be anything you want to be, if you push yourself and you're passionate, right? But you have to be willing to put in the work. And I think there's a lot of people that fall into this illusion of thinking they're putting in the work but aren't actually. And that's the scary part. It's not the fact that a lot of people go and try to be a content creator or try to be a famous actor or musician or whatever, and they fail, and then people just put the blame on, oh, these inspirational people or motivational people that tell you you can do anything. I don't think that's where we should be placing our blame. I think our blame should be placed on, and the reason I say this is because I've seen it from going to art school. I've seen a lot of people that say all these things they want to do as an artist, but then they're not putting in the work. And if you're not putting in the work, how can you expect to get these really great results? And you really got to ask yourself what that work looks like for you. And again, you don't want to go to points of destructing your health and being unhealthy about it, but really ask yourself if you're doing what needs to be done to gain that success.
Well said.
Thank you.
I don't think enough people actually talk about it in the community. I think it's they see it as too much of a taboo to open. It's like asking your coworkers at your job how much you're getting paid,
Yeah.
It's even
No, I
though it
agree.
should be an open statement and it should be talked about, it's kind of not. And I never understood that, honestly.
I think I understand it a little bit, not entirely, but I think it's because people can be put down for talking about those kinds of topics, which is why they avoid it.
You can actually get fired from some jobs for asking other people what they get paid.
Exactly.
Yeah, because essentially
Why?
what it does is, if someone's getting paid more than you now have that information to take it up and use it as an option to be promoted. Be like, hey, I do this much work, that person doesn't,
Yeah.
he's getting paid more. It causes
Right.
issues, and so literally employers, if you're in a state that I forget what the policy is called, where they don't have to give any reasoning. Oh shit. But if you're in a state that goes by that. And they
The
can
union?
literally just no, like it's when a job can just fire you without reasoning. I forget what it's called, but like if you're in a state that allows that, they can just let you go if like they see you like asking questions like that, and it's so stupid. It's in the best benefit for employees to be able to openly talk about how much they get paid, but it's been since like I think the 50s that workplaces have just established it as a taboo. It's like, oh no, why does he care about how much money I'm making? It's not about that. It's how much money someone should be making and could be making.
Yep, and it all goes back then to like that topic of like corruption in like industries and such. And it's frustrating, but again, that being said, that's why I personally, like with all my content and my growth, I make it a point to be as open about stuff like that as I can, so that other people can understand and learn, because I never want to be someone that gets caught up in all that like reputation and like the politics of those situations, because I think people deserve to know, and like taking advantage of the consumer like that, or your employees or whatever, it's just not fair. And I think those people need to be challenged, and I personally am ready to challenge those people, which is why I'm pushing myself as much as I can, so I can say, what if you guys are wrong, and sort of change that view on everything.
Yeah.
Let's see. Apparently Moppy's had 12 beers. We is at 9 pints. You need to get an Uber. Bosses are not friends. Yeah, as much as I always, like, when I first started working, I really tried to open up and interact with my bosses. They're not your friends. They never will be until you leave that job. Then they might be your friends if you've had a little bit of connection. But most of the time, they're not even allowed to be your friends, so... Hey, when I get drunk, I'm more smarter and hold a conversation. I didn't mean laid off, though. There is a, like, proper terminology for it. It's like termination without reason. Like, there are states that allow it, and some that don't. Like, they have to have proper reasoning to terminate you in some states, and they have to give, like, there's, like, a process that they have to go through. One of my jobs was like that. They caught me and a couple coworkers talking about it, and my boss said if he caught us talking about it again, they would fire us. Yeah, see? It's terrible.
That's
like,
so messed up.
And they do it to, like, so that they don't have to pay everybody the same amount, and so they don't have to, like, they can, like, keep people at lower rates. And, like, it sucks. Because I knew people that had worked the same job as me, but were getting paid $3 more, which that might not seem a lot to, like, higher positions, but, like, to some people, that's a lot of money. $3 more an hour? That's just it's baffling. Like, to put that in perspective, $3 more an hour is, over the course of a week, I think is $120, right? Yeah, $120 over the course of a 40-hour work week. In a month, that's $480 extra you can have in your pocket for no more work than what you were already working. Who's your favorite VTuber?
That's a good question.
I'd have to think about that one. So if either of you two want to start this off.
I got an answer.
I have two.
You have two? Go.
Two favorites.
Wait, me or you first?
Lily Hops and then Top.
Aw.
Yeah. Mine is Valoris, of course. Valoris is my favorite VTuber.
Is Valoris a VTuber?
Yeah, Valoris is.
Hell yeah. I'll have to check them out. But I don't know. Yeah, Lily Hops is actually a really great VTuber. Baka does bring up a good point. She is super wholesome. If you want, like, a very wholesome VTuber fire, like, definitely check her out. She plays so many different kinds of games, from shooters to puzzles to, like, anything you can really think of. She plays, and she plays it because she enjoys it, you know?
Yeah.
And
that's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, there's people like Taiga that are, like, really good content creators. There's people like Elbit that are very wholesome community. Of course, there's people like Lily, and then there's people like Baka that, like, just are just super wholesome and play a bunch of different games, and they do art, and, like, it's an all around impressive, and just like
I
you
don't
as well.
just simp for the VTubers. I simp for the community.
Yeah, I don't know if I have a favorite VTuber, because I watch quite a lot, and, like, I don't really find myself gravitating, I'll have like multiple tabs open. So I wish I could give a solid answer. I feel bad. I feel like I'm avoiding the questions, but I don't have a favorite one. I don't think I have a favorite VTuber either, to be honest. So Baka, what did you do today? Well, not today, but just in this week in general.
I did homework. I highlighted things in a book, learned things about color, which I will not tell on this podcast. I went to work. I played a lot of games. I screamed. And I had a spoopy time.
Yeah.
Halloween wasn't that far away from this week.
That's very true. A lot of
It
people are
was
kind of
6
weaning
days
off
ago.
the spooky games. Like, there's still like there's some games that they enjoy playing.
Phasmophobia.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get that trip. You
Ah,
know,
that
that
game.
trigger, you know, where we can start playing Christmas music in November.
I still do that, but that game missed such a big time to explode. Like, it exploded off because of the time of year it is. But if it would have kept its updates and had a much bigger update around Halloween, it could have been more relevant for like the next month and a half. Easy.
I still don't like the ghost that they put in. I don't.
They put in a grudge
She
ghost.
makes me very uncomfortable.
How about you, Fire? What have you done this week so far?
Well, like I said, I had a goal to get 3 videos out, so I got those out.
Nice.
I've been doing some homeworks for my digital painting class, some anatomy homework as well. And today was actually a really nice day. I woke up pretty early and I went for a walk. I did my morning yoga and meditation, and then after that I did a little bit more homework, and then I started streaming, and now here I am.
Hiya.
Well, welcome here.
I think we've all just kind of been dealing with homework in school because we're all like students. But
Yeah.
I'm not like online class. We asks, do VTubers have a harder time to create a brand and markability?
Oh.
Kinda, but I've already kind of learned that kind of stuff throughout high school since I was in like graphic design basically all my life.
I think everybody has their own like flow. Like everybody has their own understanding. I don't think it's a VTuber thing in general, just a content creator.
But
Yeah.
branding, I had a hard time thinking of what to brand myself as. Like, I had things that I liked, but the things that I wanted to put out and looked professional, and I couldn't kind of choose between them because I couldn't make the the similarities or the one compound thing that has both of them, the things that I like and the things that look professional. But I'm kind of starting to get that balance.
Yeah, I think both yes and no to the answer to that question. For it depends on the way you take that question. So do VTubers have it harder? I would say, for my yes end of the argument, I would say they do, because there are so many iconic VTubers already coming out with people who do already have that branding experience, like Baka brought up. So people who have their foot on branding or graphic design or art. And again, like I said, a lot of the VTuber community have their hand in creativity. It makes it harder because you need to push yourself to make like a unique character. I think that's what makes it harder. But what I also think it makes it easier, because I think it is easier to make. It's a confusing answer, but I think it's both hard and easy to create a unique character. That probably sounds totally contradictory. But I guess it depends on your background experience, kind of like Baka was bringing up.
About
Yeah.
if you had like, because I physically had a high school teacher that taught stuff about promoting and editing and
Right.
advertisement, so that I've learned from all the way since middle school because of the
Yeah.
programs that I was in. I now know how to print a lot of things like stickers,
Yeah.
mugs, merchandise, but that doesn't have really much to do with my VTuber thing. I mean, I could put out merch, but I don't know.
Well, no, I can connect it to why it does, because if you step back a little bit, you and Top, before VTubers came out, myself included, Cyrus included, and Cyrus hasn't even necessarily like made a model or stepped into the VTuber community specifically. And again, you could argue he does because he's on the podcast and such today. But you guys already had characters for yourself before VTubing became a thing.
Oh, heck yeah.
And I think that helped a lot because you had an idea when you're gonna make your avatar. I had an idea. Top had an idea because we all have our characters already. But for people who are brand new, like coming in as a content creator and it's like I'm gonna start VTubing, but they're not an artist, you know, or they don't do much artwork, then I think it'd be hard for those people. But for people who are already in the art community or have had an idea of a mascot, I think it's an easy transition for them.
Yeah.
They just need to learn the skills, the physical, technical skills of making the characters.
And I think the people who don't have like the artistic glove on them or the idea of what they would like to brand themselves as do have a harder time of choosing because it's a lot to process. There's a lot of things you can be and a lot of things you won't be, you know?
Yeah, agreed. It's hard to choose, yeah. So I would add that to it being a little bit more difficult as well.
It really all just depends on mindset though. Like if you want to be more wholesome, you are going forth to build a very comfy community, and of course there's going to be those bad weeds, but I mean, they're always there. You just gotta learn to take it in stride, and it's just the community. Well, what kind of community you want to build is the kind of person that you're shaped to be.
Absolutely.
I don't think I said what I did this week. Did I? I asked everybody else.
Nope. Go ahead.
Oh no.
Do
Yes.
it. Hey.
I forgot. I was too.
You forgot?
Yeah. Well, no. I mean, I forgot to like actually say one part. I was too busy asking everybody. But I mean, just like everybody else, just it was like homework here and there. I was kind of just taking a break because I did a super long stream for Halloween, and I had this whole playlist planned out and everything. It was a lot of fun. It was just all around good time. A lot of people showed up. Yeah, and I guess it was just kind of like just recovery from that, and then was planning for the next big event, which is going to be my Pokemon randomizer, Nuzlocke. I don't know.
Yes, Pokemon Nuzlocke, Pog.
Yeah, I'm gonna do Heart Gold and Soul Silver, and it's gonna be a randomizer Nuzlocke, and I'm so excited.
I'm so excited for you. That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, if you ever want to do it, I can always help like set this up, because like a friend actually helped me set it up, and like because I was so confused on how to do anything, I was like, what do I do? So I'm always down to help people whenever they have any like. That's when I learned how to do something. I like showing it off to people, like you do with your content creation of your videos. Like you learned how to do this. You understood that there was a little bit of a hurdle to kind of get past, and you kind of want to change that and have it be less of a hurdle.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
I also like how each one of you gets like a +1 every time you stream. Like your stream stamina gets a little bit better from time to time.
Who, mine?
Yeah.
I know. I mean,
You're
I could.
able to swim to like 5 to 7 to 10 now.
No, I always
10
was able to do
hours.
that. I just like keeping it at like 3 hours because that's I view it as a content thing. If I feel like the content's dipping and I don't feel that there's energy, even though I could just stream literally all day, I end it off on a high. I want people to remember me on a higher note rather than a lower dead note, you know?
That's a really good point. That's really valuable actually. And knowing when to like stop and when to keep going is, I think, vital to like content creation. So that's really cool to hear that you feel that way.
Also, I just make it easier for if people want to edit the streams, because it's like if it's just like 3 hours of nothing happening, like who wants to edit that?
Yeah, so even 3 hours alone too is a lot to edit. Like 3 to 4 hours can take literally a whole day. It's crazy.
He says he likes that mentality. But sometimes you end too early. What? Sometimes, I mean, there's just nothing going. It might seem like I'm ending too early, but like it is just a high note that it's ending on, you know? Like I know you want more, but that just means you want more for the next stream.
Yeah. I agree with saying I believe the VTuber is a big but small niche community. Yeah, I can agree with that. I still think it's smaller than what people keep acting like it is. And this is and I don't say this like I'm not just saying that to like go against the grain. I'm saying that because I've literally been doing like research for the past like few weeks to really gauge the size of VTubing, and it's seriously still in the beginning stages as far as content goes. It's still in the beginning stages, I'm telling you.
It's a whole mesh of different creators too. It's not just
Yeah.
actually anime VTubers. I've seen
Yeah.
like people that've taken like furry caricatures and like bring those to life in 3D and 2D. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's cool. Cat people. Like cat people.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that being said too, that opens the door for even freakier stuff, like for VR.
Oh
Developing
yeah.
even further, like people totally customizing what they look like realistically on a stream.
That would
in
be
way
crazy.
future. That's creepy.
It's
But,
just
like,
like
we
facial
say it's-
structure.
Yeah, right. We say it's
Oh.
crazy, but like,
It's doable. It's something
it's-
that could be.
No.
yeah,
It's
and it'll
very
become
soon.
the norm. Like it will become the norm.
Sorry.
That'd be. Imagine like being an old person, right? And then
Yeah.
having this technology be a thing, and like the kids are just so chill about it because they've been exposed to it for longer than we have, and we're just like, whoa, what the fuck?
Yeah. No, yeah, that's exactly what I was going to bring up. I think about that all the time, how our parents freak out about us. You guys and your social media, and your VTubing. Like, they're just, like, telling us about all this new stuff coming out and how we didn't have this back in my day. But we're going to be the same way with, like,
Yeah.
crazy VR stuff coming out, I bet you. We'll see the same kind of change happen because, like, history repeats itself, essentially, just in new ways.
Motion trackers and like virtual reality rooms.
Yeah.
They got so many things coming. Oh, it's gonna be so
Absolutely.
cool.
It's exciting. I'm excited for it. I think it'll go, like, a few ways. Like,
4D VTubers back in my
yeah,
days.
yeah,
This is a little-
4D. Exactly. Exactly. And I think it's possible there'll be people like that, but I also think like our generation is pretty open to tech, so it's very possible it can be a very uniting thing where we all just agree and I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. I'm very interested to live this out and see what happens, you know?
Yeah, same. Oh man. There's so many things going on this year. And then now that the year is about to end, I don't even know what's gonna go on for next year.
Like all communities, it's a cog in the wheel. Once you find out where to fit, you're set. Yeah, I mean, that is a very true point. Like, it's every community is like this. Just like how we were talking about how every community has toxic people. You know, once you find out where you sit in like a certain community, like that's where you are, and that's where you can expand.
Yeah.
Just because like that's where you are doesn't mean you can't grow from there.
Yeah.
Why is your hair not curled properly? 'Cause the modeler.
One
why I'm
word.
getting a new model.
Modeler. Have you chose 2D or 3D?
Nope. There's so many 2D like modelers that are super wholesome, and I've messaged them, and like I've been like they're very apologetic about like being so backed up, and they're like trying to like take their time but also like be quick. But there also are a lot of 3D modelers that are open right now. It's just yeah, but like I just gotta make a decision. I just have to like decide like, do I do this or that? Sometimes when
Whatever
toxicity
you
is
decide,
washed
I'll back
off,
you up on
a
it.
pro can emerge.
I'm
That's
pretty
so
sure
poetic.
everyone here is gonna back you up on it. Whichever you decide, 3D or 2D.
I also just gotta pay more off of my student debt as well. Like
That's
I need
true.
to focus on that before like spending any big money, since my GI Bill didn't want to cover this semester at all. To be honest, like it. So another question: do you guys think you'll keep up this, i.e., VTubing and being internet personalities? Well, I mean, considering I've been doing this since I was in the army back in 2015, Yes, I do plan on continuing to do this. I've never stopped. I've never even taken really a hiatus. I've always been like bad at continuing to stream. Like this is the first time, but that was also just because I would only do it when I would want to record something. It was a really easy way to record and be able to upload it immediately, and that way my friend could download it. Just because like that was the easiest means. My computer was not good. It could not record and run a game. It was actually easier to stream a game and then just would upload it to YouTube. He would download it from YouTube, edit it, and put it back up. That was the whole reason I started streaming. But yeah, I've never stopped and I never will. It's always just gonna be my thing. I might change how I look in a lot of things. Yeah, that's what I want. You know, I want people to know my story. I want people to know other people's stories and grow from that. And
Yeah,
keep going.
absolutely.
Same here. Gonna keep this train rolling. Never gonna stop. Never gonna go. I'm my own boss.
Yes.
How about you, Fire?
I think it's hard to say. I mean, I know I'm gonna continue content creation, but VTubing, I haven't. Again, it's one of those things I haven't decided. We'll see if it's something I keep, or if it's something I decide to move on from. Because ultimately, people grow and people change. So I can't say I'm gonna be a VTuber forever, and I can't say I'm gonna create content forever. But I know I really enjoy it right now. And I want to keep growing as much as I can, but if the day comes where I need a break or just do something else with my life, I'm not afraid to put it down and say that it's okay and I've had enough and I want to try some other things, because this goes to an even larger problem actually, with like, not even problem, but with just, again, branching further, because VTubers haven't been around long enough to see how this pans out, but with all content creators in general, like one of my favorite content creators, her name was Jenna Marbles, and she's taking like a huge break right now. I don't even know if she's coming back.
Yeah,
but
she might not be coming back at all.
yeah, and I think that's like a really brave and bold thing of her to do, and hopefully people aren't giving her any crap about it, because I think people deserve to be able to move on regardless of some sort of fame or some sort of recognition they gain. People, if their fans are like true to them, they should really respect that and allow them to move on peacefully and do something else if they feel like that's best for them. And that's for all people who gain any sort of following, because I think everybody deserves that peace, and they shouldn't be looked down upon. Or, of course, people will be sad, but life moves on, life changes, life grows. And again, not saying that I would change my mind, and I'm not saying that Baka or Top's view is wrong. I fully support them and stand behind them, and it inspires me. But also, just again, playing that devil's advocate, just if you guys ever feel like you want to move on from it, don't feel bad about it, and don't let people get you down about it.
That's the thing is, like, so the reason why I even started recording it is it's a little bit sadder to note. The whole reason why I want things on record is because before I left for the army, my grandmother actually died of Alzheimer's. And seeing someone it was worse than when I saw my grandfather die of cancer, because he was still himself. He was just looked like a husk of himself, like that. Like it did, you couldn't recognize him, but he was still him. Whereas with my grandmother, she looked like herself, but was not her. She was just gone.
And that's scary.
It was a very eye-opening experience, and very scary and sad. Because you think that could happen to me, or that could happen to someone I care about, and I would have no recollection of who I am or what I did, or they would have no recollection of who I am or what we did. And so I wanted to record to have those moments, just encapsulated, like to know, like,
whoa, yeah,
this is what I was doing with my life at this time. These were
that's big.
What made me smile, what made me laugh. Those were the awesome things that happened. And yeah, that's why I don't think, no matter if I'm not even growing or anything, like, I will always continue to do this just so I have memories on lock.
Yeah, that's really eye-opening, like, for me personally, and especially because I feel like I get so obsessed with growing and following the trends or doing what needs to be done to grow. So hearing you say that, it helps me like revisit the whole roots of content creation, and and it's really valuable to hold on to. And I always try to stress to people too, if you want to start streaming or doing YouTube or anything like that, that you just need to go for it, because you're gonna, it's not time wasted. You're gonna have that forever. It's almost like a documentary of your life, like you were saying, looking back and cherishing those moments, and that is not wasted time. That is something that's beautiful that you can cherish for a lifetime. So it's really great to hear you bring that up and just bring that new perspective into my mind, and it really makes me, I'm gonna have to do some thinking tonight type thing.
That's all I really want people to do, is be able to see my content and think about, you know, what's going on in their life, what they're doing, what makes them happy. And honestly, all of this was just kind of, you know, cemented in for me recently. I was going over to help my uncle. He's in his late 70s, about to be 80, and he wanted to do a gift for his wife, and he was going to take a bunch of old videos that they've had and just kind of compile them onto a DVD and save them and make sure, you know, that they're good. And he needed help setting up the VCR because it just wasn't working. And, you know, I'm the tech savvy one. I worked at like Best Buy and stuff, and just like so he needed my help, and I came over, helped set everything up, and he just sat there and was watching videos, and he's like, that person's dead, and I think they're gone too. And it really hit, like, man, like, you know, like, there will be somebody looking back on these memories. And, you know, he wasn't sad, like, he was smiling because he was thinking back on the time he spent with those people, instead of just be like, man, I'm old, and man, those people are all dead, I'll be dead next. He didn't think it that way. He just smiled and was like, it took him back to that moment instead of, you know, being sad about it.
Yeah.
And I think it's just, you know, it's really how you got to look at things. Let's see. So we asked, so all of you, why did you get into VTubing? Like, in the start of YouTube, people didn't show their face, but just a voice over, and today you can still pull that off. Any of you guys want to start first, or?
Yeah, I'll start. So why I got into VTubing was probably because I was just, I'm really passionate about life and like pretty much anything. And when I figured out about VTubing, I was just amazed. I was like, this is so freaking cool. Like, you can be this anime character and it reacts to your face, and it was just this new technology I had never seen before. And I think my curiosity for the technology and being able to be my own creation, like I had mentioned experiencing earlier when I had made my first VRChat model, it was that same kind of thing where I was like, I gotta try this because it's gonna be so rewarding and just so cool to see myself come to life as like this anime character, because I know how much I enjoyed it when I played VRChat in VR for the first time. So it was almost like revisiting that in a new way. And now I was able to do this like via streaming, not only in VRChat, but now I can incorporate this into my daily life, and I love it. So that's why I got into it.
How about you, Baka?
Well, to me, I've always been very interested in characters and stories. So the fact that I saw so many like stories or like backstories for these characters that I'm seeing on screen, I saw that and I was just like, wow, that's cool. But how did they do that with the character? How do I make this being that is the character but in a 3D plane? And I'm like, if I could do that.
Plus, you just
then
saw me
there's
doing it a
more
lot.
stories. Yeah, I mean, you were the inspiration for that too, because you would tell your stories. You would tell your stories with the character that you had. And I was just like, that's pretty cool. And I just kind of fell into that. With the character that I own, I'm working on that story. I'm still working on each chapter as I keep going on with it, but with the stories that I've already seen so far, it's amazing, this community. From just how many stories there are, how many just characters that are just unique to each and every one of like the people.
So, for me, it's a little bit weird. I've always like contemplated, should I do face cam, because I always noticed that face cam streamers got way more attention than non-face cam streamers. As much as people want to argue and say no, you can pull in views without a face cam, you will see significant difference in people that are streaming with a face cam and those that aren't. And so I always battle with that, because I never wanted people to come just for my face and reactions, even though that's half of the reason you come for a lot of streams. I wanted people to come for my voice, my storytelling, and my personality. It's not because I have an ugly face or anything like that. I know I have a decent face, but that was exactly it. It's like, I know I could get better views, and that was why there was always a constant struggle. It's like, I know I could get better views if I just put on a face cam, but I want people to be there not for the face cam. Then like, and I always just wanted people to like draw my character, and like, because I think that's the biggest form of like, you know, not flattery, I guess flattery, yeah, is like drawing art for somebody, like having an idea in your mind about somebody, then putting it down on paper or, you know, digital. Like, I like always loved that idea, especially animation, like making little animations of things that have happened in game or just in a podcast, turning that into like your style, you know, like their version, like how they saw it in their head with everybody's characters. Like that always was like, always made me smile seeing like people make little animations of other content creators. So I wanted people to relate my voice with a character instead of me. And then when VTubing came along and like really popped off, and I saw like that I could just take my character that I already had and make him into a model and have him be there instead of me, I thought, well, that kind of kills two birds with one stone. Technically, like, I would be in the realm of face camming, because I have something there representing me for the reaction, and I have my OC, but people are still coming for my personality, my character, and me.
Yeah, that's really cool. And that's a really good way to look at it, and I think it's like a really good like to heart thing to want to grow like as a content creator with that and those intentions behind it. I think that's really valuable, and again, something that I wish that more people would take into account or do.
I mean,
and I think it'll help set you apart as well in several areas, you know.
Yeah. I hope so, but yeah. I know it's like, it's, if only recently, I've been on this platform for so long, like I've said, but only recently have I actually even tried to actually grow as a content creator and a, you know, as a streamer. And I definitely have seen growth in this last year compared to like, I think I started this year with only like 200 followers, maybe, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't actually remember. And then just to see that growth, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
It really is just putting a grind into it, you know? That's all it really is. Well, I think we're kind of winding down here. Are there any final questions that you want to ask, chat? Or any of you guys, do you have any final statements you kind of want to wrap everything up with? We has people are nothing more but amazing stories. Oh, thank you for the HEADPATTS. Telling spread to fam and offspring. Yeah. Yeah, you've had a lot of growth over the past few months. No question, but wind down HEADPATTS. Thank you for the wind down HEADPATTS. Everyone here is amazing and have great views or values. Or like, I guess like both works in that sense. Views on life.
Both, yeah.
Or values. Yeah. I have a lot to think about after this. Aw.
Also, thank you guys so much for inviting me to this podcast. Honestly, I had so much fun, and you guys have really opened my views a lot, and I have so much to think about, and I'm just really grateful. So thank you.
Yeah. And everybody, I'm going to post Fire's link one more time in the chat before we head out. Please go give her some more
Thank you.
follows and like, yeah, spread the love.
Glad you had
Dude,
fun. I'm glad you have
this
more
is-
food for thought. It's
Yes. Yes, and this is the first official podcast I've been on as a guest speaker,
Yeah.
and that's hype because I've always wanted to be on a podcast. So you guys just hit one of my bucket list items. Let's go.
I'll scratch it off the list.
Yes.
That's awesome. That's the one thing I love about doing these podcasts is people get to share their stories, two communities get to interact, and yeah,
Yes.
I
Ooh,
always love
okay.
doing these.
Yeah, it's really cool and it's very eye-opening.